All right, good morning. For the happy few here for the early shift of NZGDC 2025, that is in fact the year. So this talk is called Not Just Tourism, Planning Your Event Strategy. For the few people that I don't know, my name is V. I'm the Industry Development Manager at Code. The business development events that Code does, obviously I sort of start the wheel rolling with a lot of those. I'll hop into the presentation. Me. I'm really old. So this is a bit of a summary of the kinds of events that I have participated in. So I have worked every single PAX Australia since 2013 bar one. And I wasn't there at the time because I was drunk. GDCs, I've done 5 in San Francisco in the US. Interesting time there. We'll try and avoid some political commentary, but we'll talk about some practical matters. Gamescoms, Cologne, Germany, the world's biggest content market for games. 5 of those for my sins. And of course, this year we had the first ever branded New Zealand presence at Gamescom. I've done one bit summit I did last year. Of course, with yesterday's funding announcement, I intend on doing more of those now. And more smaller national events, other things that I care to mention more than any one sane person would ever go to. Before I kick off with this, just probably a little bit where this talk comes from. Obviously, Code has travel grants. Why? And of course, these are the reasons why you would go and apply for one of those. People just will go and decide to do an event. And it's fair to say, sometimes their expectations and the events that they're looking at are not in the same place. And these are the reasons why you would go to one of these events. And I'm not just talking about if you just want to go to a games expo somewhere else because it's going to be fun. That's not what this talk is. This talk is how do I get something out of it. So this is very much about your business aims, about your point of your life cycle that you start addressing this, and understanding what you're going to get or what you could potentially get out of the events that you're going to. Hence the not just tourism. If you want to go to Gamescom LATAM because you want to go to a cool expo and then go and eat empanadas, I'm not going to stop you. But we're going to look about what business aims actually are there. And then, of course, you're going to see a bunch of our friends out the front there. This is the team Astronaut Diaries from Auckland. I will be doing a fireside with them later on today. So breaking it down into the types of industry events that you can address. So there are developers-centric conferences, business expos that are primary B2B. So if I say B2B, business to business. Then there are consumer types. So some are wholly business, some are wholly consumer. And what you're going to get out of that, because if your goal is just to turn up to PAX Oz and say, I'm going to share my game, you have wasted your money. There's larger international events versus smaller domestic events. Obviously, we're here at NZGDC, which I would call a smaller domestic event. It's super cozy. We're having a great community time. Is it a great place to pitch to publishers? We'll answer the question. There are online conferences and events, particularly made popular during the pandemic, but of course, they're still with us. And then there are hybrids of all of this stuff. Nothing is ever completely linear these days. There's always something different. And the rules change year on year. If you look at the announcements around GDC recently, they've shifted because they had to. But always be prepared for things to move on. So this is the first point, right? Understanding where you're at. And I'm going to talk about the current pitching environment. So if you are an indie game and you want to find more audience, you want to find more financing, you want to find a publisher, so you might be self-publishing, but looking for publishing partners who can assist you to do the things that you don't know or can't do for whatever reason. You may be looking for project-based finances. Now, Gamescom just gone, I would say the market is, at the moment, is quite hungry. But the one thing I will say, you need your wish list, you need your validation, you need a pathway to go and get that. You need an active Discord server, social media, whatever that combination looks like for you. Because if you come in as Joe Nobody, without a track record, and you're a new company, new team, you don't have that big name, even if you're an industry veteran and you've been there 20 years, but if you're starting something new and don't have a recognized brand name, you need that prep. There's a big difference pitching from 0 wish list to 10,000 wish lists to 30,000 wish lists. It is a staggering jump. You also need a demo. Oh, but I've heard that if I go to publishers, they can take 6 to 12 months for a contract to get signed. Yeah, it does, from the point of when you have a demo. If you don't have a working demo that shows off the best of your game, don't go. If you go early without those things, without a pitch deck that's worthy of the name, without that preparation, without a demo, you're going to actively hurt yourself, because the publisher or the person that you're talking to is going to look at you as though you're wasting their time. That is the frank, it's a harsh reality, but it is something that developers, I've run into this conversation so many times. All right, let's start local. NZGDC, we're here, we know what that does. Armageddons, local cons, playtesting events, all of that stuff. So I can tell you categorically in travel grant applications, I've had people say, oh, we want to go to Armageddon, Auckland, to go and pitch to publishers. My question is, where does that expectation even come from? Publishers do not go to local events. They just don't. Obviously, we've got a couple of publishers investors here, but not your Armageddon consumer events and that sort of stuff. What they are good for, and of course, this then engages further. So looking at something like the Spark Arena event that NZGDC partnered with Spark Games Arena earlier on this year. Grassroots audience playtesting is low cost, low risk. So what do? You turn up and you take people's email addresses. They play the demo of the game. You get them to sign up and onto your newsletter. Funnel them into your Discord server. Grab that point of contact. Have an iPad or a clipboard or notepad. Write down people's email addresses. Capture that information. If you just turn up and show your game without capturing anything, you've wasted your time. But by funneling them into that grassroots communities, you're starting to build that validation proposition. And even better, if you have a multiplayer co-op game, it blows out sideways. This game's more fun to play with my friends. Okay, so go and do that. Maybe you don't. Maybe you have a single player experience. Make sure there is something shareable in your demo, so that when you have test weekends, they can share that, oh, I'm playing this new thing and I get to have a say, and it's empowering. They become your extended sales team. Yeah, we're going to talk business and sales and all that. I'm sorry, but it's just what we do. Obviously, a couple of publishers. My friend John Cartwright's here. He's up on the. He's talking opposite me later. He's a publishing agent for Quali, Team 17, and others. Go pitch to John. Hope you don't. Hope your ego is in a place to take feedback. So when we're looking at consumer events, add scale. So you might have a small local one. You might be. You are competing for attention. You are literally the hawker in the bazaar with 1 million other people. So have the plan. Get hold of the media list. Most of these events will have a media and influencer list. Get hold of that ahead of time. Code will always do. With PAX Oz, we get hold of the media list, and we've just done a blast in the last couple of days out with the 18 teams that are participating on our stand. Engage with media and streamers. Always ask the event organizer if there's a media list. A stable demo. Lock down your demo a week ahead, bug test it to hell, because a busy consumer event will kill a machine. You don't want to be restarting your demo every 2 or 3 playthroughs. It's going to be hell. I've seen it. Know your equipment situation. Don't leave things to chance, because when your PC pops on the show floor of a major event and you're waiting for a replacement, I can tell you that's not a fun place to be. This is why we always hire equipment so we can hot swap stuff out on the show floor. So this is PAX Oz is the most obvious one. We've got a campaign there in October. You've got US-based PAXs. There are other shows under that banner that go across Europe, Asia, and the UK. We play in Shanghai. Bit Summit is like this. That's based in Kyoto. That's now moved to May next year. And that does have some B2B action in it, but it's primarily a consumer expo for Japanese audiences. And also prep for the audience. PAX Oz, people will just run up and play your game and then tell you how good it is. It's a great experience. At Bit Summit, it's very different because the players will need to be invited to come play. It's a high context culture that you're dealing with. Understand that there are those differences. And this is when we get into business events. This is a very different scenario. This talk came from someone in an application made the claim that they were going to GDC. So we're talking San Francisco here, because they heard it at the time was the best place to engage with the consumers. Small problem with that, given that at that stage there were none. Now they have changed things up. They're adding a festival aspect to it now for this next coming year. Do your research. Gamescom business area, 35,000 people, all there for business to business. It is the singularly most focused event of its time. And something, the reason why I was very determined to get us to have a NZ branded Koru Leaf silver presence with the games as the heroes. It can be on-site or off-site. GDC has always traditionally been very distributed. Like they've got the conference side, there is an expo side, and then it's all the hotel rooms. We get a co-working, in the past couple of years, we've had a co-working space by the amazing team at New Zealand Trade and Enterprise over there. There'll be a media presence, but you've got to try and wrangle that because they'll be running all over the place. There may be awards ceremonies that are tied to it, but it'll always be very industry focused. Remember, you're walking into an industry space. What does that look like? How do I have to be prepared? Bring a paper business card. I know everyone's still using LinkedIn QR codes now, but also just have those things. Have your deck on hand, again, being prepared to make the best of that one. And co-teachers pitching workshops, learn how to pitch, regardless of what you are doing, even if you're just pitching yourself and looking for a job. That is not an accident, that is a learned skill. So before we leave, does everyone get my joke? That was my joke. I had to get one in there somewhere. We spend a lot of time in the preparation around business events. So you cannot expect to succeed if you are underprepared. So you need a deck that you can deliver in 10 minutes. If you have 30 some odd slides, you are doing it wrong. They do not have the time. 10 minutes, time yourself, get good at this so you can rattle this off in your sleep. You need your trailer. Your pitch deck is not your trailer. You need that separately. A demo of your game. Most meetings, they probably won't play your demo, but you need to have it there for the one where they will want to see that there because for credibility. And you'll need to just email it to them pretty much almost after the show. Scheduling and crib sheets of your meetings. I have a habit of putting everything on a spreadsheet and I write notes after who I'm meeting, particularly when I'm meeting people for the first time. The other thing too, in professional networking, again, the paper business card, write notes on the back of someone else's business card when you get to meet them. Put 3 notes about it. Oh yeah, how's the show going for you? Yeah, it's good. I want to get home. I kind of miss my cat. Ask about their cat when you're doing the follow-up. Because if they've seen 11 billion people this week and you're doing a memory trigger like that, it just means there's extra rapport. Congratulations, you're just a bit more memorable now. And particularly if you've got people that you've met once or twice before, you may want to have a briefing. Check their LinkedIn, because or check to see, you want to see a recent photo of them, because particularly when you're meeting in a crowd full of people, you want to be able to pick, oh, I've got brown hair and I'm wearing a black hoodie. Doesn't help with all the other people with brown hairs and black hoodies in a GDC crowd or a Gamescom crowd. And sometimes you want a company deck as well, which will show off the best of your team and your company and all of that. If you want to know specifics around what a company deck looks like, talk to me, please email me, because I think indie devs sometimes get a bit caught up in their values. And It's more about what do you offer and what can you do and what's your capability. Be aware that going to any of these businesses, yeah, you're going to get 14 requests from localization providers and QA people and all that. It's okay to write no service providers, please, if that's not what you're looking for at one of these events. It's going to happen. They're going to try anyway, but obviously to bat people away wherever possible. And again, remaining focused on why you're there. Don't just take the meeting for the sake of taking a meeting. So during the pandemic, online conferences became a real thing, and they still are. And we're not talking Steam festivals here, that's quite different, but this is effectively a developer online conference where there's lectures and everything, doing much the same as NZGDC here, except it's an online format, and of course it's more worldwide. They will often have breakout networking sessions that you through their conference software in like 5-minute speed networking scenarios. They can be fun, but I didn't find them hugely useful. I definitely think the in-person experience, unfortunately from a business perspective, is far more useful. Obviously, if it's the only thing available, and particularly if you live remotely, it might be the only thing that's really practical to go to. And I still think that's worthwhile. And certainly, you still get a good quality of talks and all that sort of stuff. But from a BD perspective, I'd say they're pretty minimal impact. All right, everyone put up your phone, take a photo of this slide. This is the pointy end. This is a strategy. This is not an accident. This is not an afterthought. We're not just concentrating on building our game because we have to be thinking about how we're going to pay for our game. Because even with code, I can go and apply for up to $190,000. And if you're an indie dev and you're starting out and you have no money, that sounds like a lot of money. Wait until you start paying people. And then it sounds like $2.50. When is it prudent to start playtesting? I mean, as soon as you have something to test is the answer. You need to be building that audience from the get-go. There is no such thing as a successful sleeper game anymore, unless I have a special rule, and it is a question of when do I have to start validating, when do I have to start testing, and the test is called, am I Hideo Kojima? And this can be solved by going and looking in a mirror, and if you are, in fact, not Hideo Kojima, the answer is now, probably yesterday. Because you don't carry the celebrity, even if you do have some profile. I mean, I promise you, I have more business contacts in the game industry than anyone else in this room, and I would still do it. When are you going to have your first demo? And it has to be stable to do these things, because the last thing you want to be doing is pitching to a publisher who is the dream of who you want to work with, and then it's pulse. I have been there, that has happened to me. And I killed the rest of my meetings for the day and went down the pub because there was nothing else I could do. My head was all over the place. When do you want to start pitching? Answer is probably as early as you've got something to show, but you're riding the balance of when I have something to show, but I don't want to hurt myself. I don't want to give a poor impression, because obviously that old thing of you only get one first impression. Yeah, that. Go to events that are the greatest likelihood of pitch success. I had another example from a travel grant round where it was our Gamescom intake travel grant round. Our code is not prescripted because there are, of course, other people the other events, we get serious games people, and Gamescom's not the right place for them, and we try and allow people that flexibility. This was before Brazil Games Show had merged with Gamescom LATAM. And again, the title of this talk. So in the Gamescom intake, excuse me, they were proposing to go to Brazil Games Show at the same time as Gamescom because they were intending to go and pitch there. And it was like looking at it going, but why not Gamescom? And I think we all know that the answer was probably margaritas and empanadas. Pick the event that aligns the closest. Even, I get it, going to Cologne's a long way, and it's probably, if you're vegan, I'm sorry, it's probably a thing you're going to live on pizza that week. It's still the best place on earth to go pitch your game. I can get 20 good meetings with high quality publishers that will be engaged and into it at Gamescom. What systems? Most networking events, well, most of these events come with an app. Meet to Match is a real standard. That's a Dutch company, but they partner with so many different live events. Do your homework, learn how to use those, write a profile, get someone, if you're not very good at selling yourself, get someone to help. Not everyone is great at talking themselves up. Oh, and as Kiwis, I've lived in 3 countries. I've lived in England, I've lived in Australia for most of my life, and now I've spent the last 3 years here. Kiwis are the worst at talking ourselves down. Don't do it. We're going to be matter of fact. We don't have to be all exaggerating and all that. We just need to tell how it is and who our team is, and erase the words. Oh, we're a small team. We're a little. We're a startup team. No, we're an indie team from New Zealand. No self-deprecating, because often different cultures don't get that humor. This is what Meet to Match actually looks like. And this is using the example of my own profile, and I've using my immense graphic design skills. I've numbered everything to go through bit by bit. Right, first thing, top left. Your name, your job title, don't try and be funny. Just put it, and again, matter of fact, put your phone number in there, put your email address, and a LinkedIn. That is the standard. And obviously you put a photo that looks like your current appearance. If you are someone who changes your hair, your facial hair, your hair color scenario, all of that, use something that, because they're going to use that photo to try and find you in a crowd. Do not fall into the trap of using that really good professional mugshot that you had done 10 years ago. And maybe your weight situation might have changed a bit. I have seen gentlemen who put a very young photo of them, and then the person that you meet is maybe you've got 30 years difference between them and the photo. Just be honest about it, because people are going to use it to try and find you, and it has to reflect your appearance accurately. Point 2, company profile. Again, we're not a small, it's tiny indie team. No. We're an indie team from New Zealand or your city, working on this kind of game, and this is what we're good at. We're trying to avoid words like passionate, because it's the game industry. Everyone uses the word passionate a bit too much. Just be matter of fact about it. What are you doing? You're offering a solid. The offering is solid. How are you doing it? Reasons to meet. Point by point. We're pitching our debut title XYZ at Gamescom/BitSummit/wherever, and we're looking for these kinds of audiences. We're looking for a publisher for these things, and that leads you into point 4, looking at. And also, Meet to Match will hold your profile, so make sure you do update it every time. Be specific. We're looking for publishers offering, with a possible advance, or PC console-based publishers looking for a possible advance of $500,000 US. In overseas events, we always talk in USD. It's kind of the de facto currency of the game industry. Don't put New Zealand dollars, because they will think they will look at that and go, that looks like Nani and shekels to me. Most of the, you're talking to someone from Sweden, they may not know where we are. Just matter of fact. And then be really specific about the tags, the platforms, what you're looking for. This is serious. This is not, yeah, I know it hurts my indie rock cred to be all corporate like this, but you're just trying to save yourself time and others and not get people fishing to you who are the wrong fit. Again, don't meet people just for the sake of taking a meeting. Preserve your voice and your sanity. All right, media engagement. All right, so there is a point when you want to start engaging with media influencers and the like. If you have a publisher or a PR agency, you really want them to give you that training. even if you come and done John Cartwright's pitch workshop, yeah, it's still, I mean, which is great preparation, don't get me wrong. And that actually preps you to speak to journalists, influencers, all that. Fun fact, so I was at PAX Australia last year, as I always am, and a very experienced games journalist of whom I've known for years, and she was making her way around PAX Rising, which is the kind of indie area at the show. She was frothing mad, and she literally came up to me and said, like, how come none of these people can pitch me their game? I said, sorry, who? And she pointed to the PAX Rising area and all that. And it's like, all right, come with me. Then I took her back to the New Zealand Code booth and walked up to Shrikant from Astronaut Diaries. Hey, Shrek, what's your log line? He rattles that off. What's your elevator pitch? He rattles that off too. Took her around to another developer who's much more quiet and newer to the industry. Same thing. Why is that? Because we trained them. Because we prepared. And because of that, she could go write her article her articles with very minimal effort and made her way around the stand. You've got to be prepared for this stuff. You've got to be engaged. Have a press kit. There's a tool by Rami Ismail called presskit.com. Just go and prep that. Make sure that you've got that all there. You want to leave a good impression with a person that you're talking to, and it's like that you're interesting. Again, we're avoiding this. We're the tiny little indie team. No, we're building this game. It's really exciting. It doesn't matter what the game is. It's the best thing on earth. It doesn't matter if it's the first person or the 50th person or the 500th person you've spoken to that day. You need to bring your energy up. You need to be excited, confident, vibrant, because the human interest side of what they're doing will play out as well. If you're going to target media and content creators, it's a good idea to look at the media list. And if it's a game site that only reports on Zelda, pitching them your indie strategy game is probably not the right bit. Don't waste your time. If they're more generalist, then go for everyone. Have a good one-pager email to email out to that media list to get that as much blanket coverage as you can. Keep VIP packs on hand. If someone's a really big influencer or journalist, or maybe it's Lewis from PlayStation, you probably want to give them a gift baggie. I use the strategic deployment of Whittaker's chocolate whenever at international events. It really works because it's very difficult to be in a bad mood with a face full of chocolate. But something unique as well. Jess is actually in the audience, and I use this example all the time, is that with her game Burger Boys at PAX, it has a burger bag.
Little takeout bag, branded takeout.
Yeah, branded takeout burger bag, sorry, just for the recording. And the thing that, with the burger menu, which was the game blurb, and the thing that got me was there's a 3D printed burger truck. And gummy burger lollies as well. Awesome. And I watched cynical 50-something industry people suddenly become 8 years old and driving their burger truck around. Freaking awesome. How memorable is something like that? When I'm coming back from an event and I've got my bag full of collateral, and then I've got my burger truck. Whatever that is for your game, seriously consider thinking about what your personal touch is. Everyone's got something, right? I once worked on a game where the signature was a flywheel, was a geared flywheel, and then we laser cut that with our business card and QR code on the back. But they felt that physically when they put their hands in the bag. We didn't like stab people, but you know, if they felt enough of a little spiky edge on it. So just be aware of your storage situation. It's just a practical thing with stuff like that. But managing all this stuff and making yourself an exciting person to talk to is a key thing for your media engagement. This is another one. Take out your phones, take a picture. This is a multi-year endeavor. Making a game right now, obviously you're looking at the whole life cycle of everything. You have to plan when you're going to start to engage, given that there is still quite a lead time on publishing and finance things. Don't assume that going to your first event is going to give you the results that you want or need. It's a hell of an assumption. Plan for what the next one is. Put it as key bumps on your timeline when you're planning out your production strategy. You need a production strategy. Particularly for early stage studios. Be aware that sometimes it won't be the first meeting, it'll be the second, third, fourth. Oh, I know you've seen that game before. Here's the updated demo. It's really powerful because it shows progress. It shows that you're regardless of that you don't need them necessarily to develop the game. You're still grinding away at it, putting in that effort developing your product. And particularly if you do have, and then updating your deck. If you're at a major event with a whole bunch of people playing your game live, take photos and put that in your deck. Oh, look, everything's real. The risk is low. You're communicating that you can manage risk by your playtesting, you're engaging, you're very considered about your approach. And then put the beats on there. On your timeline, when you on your pitch deck showing your production timeline, put it when you're starting playtesting. When you're doing obviously when you did your first event. If you're doing pitch events and whatnot, you don't necessarily need to say, I put Gamescom on there and say, hi, I'm at Gamescom, because you're right, standing right there. But when you've got these beats to put in there, you need to know the timeline, and you need to be working out, particularly if you're looking at PC console, you need to be working out what Steam festivals you're going to be engaging with as well. Why is the magic number 7,500 wish list? Because on Steam Next Fest, you do not get your game uplifted onto the carousel without that. You need 7,500. Otherwise, you just might as well not do Next Fest. You might get a small bump out of it, but there's no guarantee. If they have a random day, because Valve just like to keep us on our toes like that. And then showing your launch pathway and when you're engaging with media and anything that you can do like that. Budgeting, which everyone loves talking about, I'm sure. We're looking for the return on investment more than just the dollars spent. Yeah, sometimes it's expensive to fly to the other side of the world, but then you're looking at the potential outcomes. Obviously, you begin to look to understand what accommodation looks like, flights, work out your entertainment costs, and you'll work out your meal expenses and all that. Talk to other people who've been to that event before, and of course what local food prices are like, because the US is really expensive, other places not so much. Cologne is the land of the €7 kebab and kolsch. But planning out all this stuff on transport and all that, and always have contingency. Setting yourself up to begin with may cost time and money, because you've got to do those VIP packs, and you've got to spend that time researching, and the time that you're spending researching the event and the people that you're pitching to is not time you're spending on the game. It is still working on the game, on the business. It is still valid. Track that time. Make sure you're managing that time and those costs. And purchasing accommodation that's not close to the event, it may look enticing because, of course, the actual accommodation price may be a bit less. But then how much time are you losing? Is it fatiguing? Are you traveling an hour there, an hour back in the morning? Stuff like that. It's actually a con. I would rather be just outside what I call the blast radius. So just outside the crowds is where you want to purchase the accommodation. Oh, and if you're going to San Francisco, don't book in the Tenderloin. You probably want to keep your organs. You need those. All right, helpful hints. Just going to keep pragmatic. Obviously, looking at the US right now, it is a complex situation. Obviously, ESTA situations, visa situations, all that. This is I think China allows 14 days travel. The EU has just changed their rules. That's coming in October, I believe. And then you need to have a permit to get in. Be aware of it. Don't get caught out. If you are straight and white, getting into the US is probably not too much of a challenge. If you're not those things, you might want to have a think about that. Okay, Go and get advice from, if you're a member of a minority population, go and get advice with someone who's familiar with that. And because of course, different places in the world have different cultural rules. And that's not just the US. I mean, if you wanted to go to an event in Dubai, I can assure you the rules are quite different. Go and see Louisa's talk later on today. Trust me on that one. Safety is first and foremost. And if you're planning a way out, you can take a look at airline sales as well. Obviously take terms and conditions. Always, always, always take travel insurance. I'm wandering all over this slide, but that is the key point. Have you seen what medical costs are like in California? So someone I know, his gallbladder decided basically to fail while he was at GDC. Had his insurance, it was over $150,000 US. That was the cost. Ambulances, hospital care, all the rest of that. And his insurance covered it. Check the fine print on your insurances. A lot of them don't cover if you get COVID. You need travel insurance that will cover you if you get COVID, because of course, if it's useless if you don't have that. But it's in the weasel word terms and conditions on some of them. Always keep a PDF of your main deck and everything on your phone. If you're going into the US right now, take a burner phone. You don't want your social media on there, because if you've posted that meme of JD Advance's face, I mean, look in the news right now. And I'm just talking about, this is the practical situation, right? But just be aware of all this stuff. Keep the stuff. I always print out, and I have a backup. I have a photocopy of my passport. I keep a file of all my documents. I print out my hotel details before, because of course, if you're relying on your phone, you've been on a plane for 70-some-odd hours, whatever it is. You know, your phone might be low on battery, so you don't have your details to hand. Print it all out and just have it in a folder. It's pretty basic. Write up your notes, jog your memory, put up things. Again, that level of preparation feels like it's extreme, but it's really not, particularly if it's your first time. Just make it yourself kind. Be nice to future you. Track your expenses. Get an app on your phone. Take photos of your receipts. You need to claim them for tax. Things to avoid. Last minute booking wherever possible. Try not to do that. You'll cost yourself a whole bunch more. Unless you're looking at discount size and all that, in which case you're taking your chances. Think when you're fully prepared, when you haven't really checked. Go ask someone who's done this before and you trust them to make good decisions. Don't rely on Reddit or online info, because it can be misleading. If you're a member of a group, again, experienced people who know what they're doing it, spreading yourself too thin. Do not plan to go to 70 million parties in a week. It's not worth it, and you'll just hurt yourself. And trying to pitch while hungover is a bad thing. I have seen so many times people have gone and had it from PAX Australia. People have gone and had a big night on the Saturday night, and they're there on Sunday morning, and they have to go through another day of PAX, and it looks like their soul has died. You get used to the stare. Check everyone's LinkedIn profiles. Oh, I don't like LinkedIn. I'm too indie and cool. Yeah, maybe, but do LinkedIn. It sucks. We know it sucks, but just make sure that your profile is all up to date and there's a good photo and it's showing what you're doing. It's reflective of all that. It's just one of those eat your veggies kind of things that you have to do. Check all the people's photos, understand what you're doing, so you can get around. Going to events with minimal ROI. It's just going to eat up time and energy. Oh, if you're going to Armageddon thinking you're going to talk to publishers. Oh, we've got a local event, and can you come and do it? If you understand, if it's a local community event and you're happy to go just for the sake of building up some stuff there, getting players on board, whatever, then that's fine. I got to a point where I stopped doing them because people would ask, when I was on the dev side, people would always ask us to come and set up, and we basically went, well, whose convenience are we here? We're giving up our weekend for this. We've spoken to 5 people today. I mentioned the appearance thing. I'm always going to mention that because someone always does something hilarious. Make sure it's a complimentary photo, vaguely, as best as you can possibly look. Don't have it with you holding a fish up in front of the camera or in your car driver's seat. That's just the dating site role, isn't it? All right, and now we can go to some questions. We still have some time left. This is me. If you want an invite to our Discord channel and you're not there already, there's a QR code. Please do come and join. Jonathan has got a mic if anyone has any questions. We'll go over here first. So as an introvert myself, I tend to latch on to the biggest extrovert in the room and let them do the talking for me, and then they all do the introductions.
Right.
Honestly, I don't want to go to the game event. The conference, I'm a bit of an introvert. You and everyone else in the room, this is game development. Everyone's neurodivergent, everyone's queer, everyone's got 17 tattoos and purple hair, right? Don't be intimidated about that stuff. And again, that preparation piece will make it so you feel less intimidated.
Right.
I have ADHD to hell. So I hyper-focus down on my prep. And then I get there and then I'm fine because I'm confident I've gone and done my homework. Be kind to yourself. And the other thing too is take breaks. Don't feel you have to do meetings back to back. And if you have a difficult meeting, like with Code, we always try and provide a support team. I spend usually the third day of the event counseling people. Find friends, build a support team, all those things. It will make it so much easier on yourself. And if you need to go and get out of it and not go to that party tonight and go and stare at the wall in your room, do that, because if you're better the next day and you've got a really key pitch, it will pay off. There was a question over here.
I'm curious to know, with international events, if there are any particular countries that are more or less likely to have language difficulties, both in terms of speaking to, say, other investors at the event or speaking to consumers and the demo as well. Like, is it necessary to localize the demo for any particular countries?
So if you're going to Japan or if we're going to WePlay in Shanghai in November, and you most definitely have to have a localized thing. NZT has started doing these country prep guides for dealing business. We had a really great one made up for Japan for BitSummit. Yes, you will probably need translation staff or someone on hand. You will see publishers who will speak English because, of course, it's kind of the lingua franca in business. In Gamescom, you don't need to. You can just speak English. Everyone will speak English. Or they will bring their own translation staff if that's a question for them. But again, being aware of local customs. And so anything I think within the East Asian, Southeast Asian region, I would definitely bring a translator or be prepared for that scenario.
Hi, you mentioned in one of your slides to buy the NZTE pack.
Yes, buy the goddamn NZTE pass.
What?
New Zealand Trade and Enterprise have which is you're from Australia, so I'm going to say Austrade, but they're less prepared because I bullied NZTE into doing this. Thanks, Louisa. And kept going. So they offer a specific package oftentimes with a major event. So with Gamescom, they had packages from just being able to use a meeting space right through to having your own private room. That can multiply your effect out. Obviously, if you're early stage, you probably just need a meeting space because trying to get a floor, the amount of times I pitched on park benches and sitting on the floor and all that sort of stuff versus having a dedicated meeting space, it just makes your life easier. If you are going out to pitch internationally, go and sign up with NZTE right now, do the thing, it costs you nothing to go and do, and then go and book a meeting with your local representative. And then see what's up, get in front of it so you can plan in your strategy. Maybe they don't know yet. Maybe that they haven't solidified what the packages look like, but at least you can stay informed. Again, set yourself up for success. And again, at Gamescom, just gone, there were experienced studio owners, I guess a package would have probably come out. And I was like, yeah, of course it would. I didn't check my email. And then they're putting themselves at disadvantage. And it's like, you've spent, $15,000 coming to Gamescom and you're not prepared. Well done. Is there anyone else? Or are we all perplexed?
When you're like sort of in the early stages of sort of trying to build an audience for an IP, how would you suggest, well, actually, let me rephrase, is there any sort of secret tip that you can give for like reaching out to like influencers or content creators and actually get them to respond back to you?
I mean, the answer is get a PR agency.
Right, okay.
And don't be afraid of doing, I mean, there's obviously smaller, I mean, if you go and put the Stride PR, I mean, they're highly prestigious, but there are smaller agencies that if you're looking for something more entry level. And putting together a good pack to engage, because I think the mistake is that people just try and scatter out their pack. And I mean, if you're an indie dev and you're trying to get a tier 1 influencer, you're good luck with that, really. So you're better off going for a bunch of small influencers, and particularly using a PR agency who can go in and contact a bunch of them, because what will happen is that will build its own momentum, because the higher tier influencers look down on the lower ones because they want new and fresh content a lot of the times. The other thing too is find someone who is aligned to you. If they just stream Minecraft, no, don't bother. Don't waste your time. But you're building your strategy around what your game is and all of that. I would say try not to get stuck on sideshows. Oh, this person's a local celebrity in pro wrestling in our local community, and they're not probably going to be great for your game audience unless there's a direct crossover. It's just preparation points, really. And also, again, please come to John Cara's pitch work. Learn how to pitch your game, basically, because that will teach you things about how to engage with media and influencers. But also, we had a lecture from Veronica from Stride earlier on this year. It was sensational. Email me if you want a recording of that. It was so good. And I learned things, and I'm 16 years into this industry. Like, talk to the smart people. Anything else? I think we're about on time. One more question. Going left. Nope. Stunned silence. All right. On that note, thanks everyone.